Thank you for joining us for our fellowship programme. This is the first of 4 sessions we have planned over the coming weeks. Fellowships are different to grants in that the project is not the main focus of the award. As you can see, fellowships are made of more than just the project. You may have already come across person, project and place. Patient and public involvement and impact are as important as the first 3, and so over the next 4 weeks we will cover all of these. Today, the first session will focus on person, and the second session will focus on your training plan. Within the fellowship application, Stage 1 is your only opportunity to sell yourself. Stage 2 only allows you to add more detail on the PPI and justification of your costs. There is usually no feedback between stages. As you can see, there are a couple of places to sell yourself on the application form, which I've highlighted in red. First is the applicant's CV section. This is where you list your degrees and professional qualifications, present and previous positions, any research grants held within the last 5 years, including fellowships, and your role within these. Was it project design, project management, data collection, analysis, writing papers for publication? It could be all of these. Your publication record and any relevant prizes, awards and other academic distinctions are also included in this section. NIHR recognise that your grants and publications will vary depending on your experience. They do want to see that you are committed to a research career, of which grants and publications will play a part. We encourage you to think outside of the box. So, for example, think about any publications you've been involved in. At pre-doctoral and doctoral level, these might include clinical network publications or presentations. Maybe you have contributed to clinical guidelines on a local or national level. For awards and prizes, have you brought any money into your department that was awarded from a charity or industry partner? Have you received pump priming money to carry out a small piece of research, which has led to developing this proposal? The second place to sell yourself is in the applicant research background section. You have 1,000 words to describe your research career to date. We tend to see this section set out as a sequential timeline, but you could group this into research themes if you prefer. This section links to your CV. It gives you the opportunity to add more detail on your role in any research grants you were involved in. It is really important to say what you did, what you learnt and what skills you gained. Also use this section to show impact your publications have had. Have you been invited to speak about your research in the media, for example? At the end of this section, you will need to describe the impact of this fellowship. You need to show what impact this fellowship will specifically have on you. How will this fellowship help you achieve your ambition of becoming the leading researcher in your field? For the advanced fellowships, you will also need to justify why you need this award instead of a grant to do the work. What added value will the fellowship have that a grant could not offer? This centres around personal development, which wouldn't be possible in a grant. You will also need to justify the resources and length of funding you have requested. So what are the NIHR looking for? How will your planned research make a difference to patients and the wider NHS? NIHR are wanting to see you are ambitious, but you also need to be realistic. You only have 3 to 4 years to complete this work. The panel are also experts at spotting supervisor-led projects. This fellowship is about developing you into a future leader in your chosen field. You need to demonstrate that not only will this planned work address a knowledge gap, but also that it will develop and facilitate your movement to independence. Fellowships are training awards. If we go back to person, project, place, person, or rather the impact this fellowship will have on you, is as important as the project itself. If you are successful at getting to interview, you will be specifically questioned by a panel member on your proposed training plan and how you will develop from this award. How do you answer? So be creative. Don't just draw on your work experience. Think of experience in its widest sense. Do you chair any meetings or take the minutes? Can you show that you are organised or self-disciplined? Do you attend sports regularly? Practice music? Are you committed to a band? Selling yourself is always a lot harder, so we suggest you get outside help to write this section. We're happy to support you with this at the RDS, so come and talk to us. as we know it's really hard to sell yourself without cringing. A really useful tool in determining gaps in experience and expertise is through using a researcher development tool, such as VTI Researcher Development Framework or the Brunel 3D Researcher Development Tool. I will talk about these in more detail in the training plan section. You may have specific methodology you want to learn about, but also consider developing leadership and dissemination skills. We are in a digital age, and how we disseminate our research has moved beyond the conference setting. So where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years' time? If you are successful in gaining an NIHR fellowship, you become part of the academy. NIHR are looking to support a researcher along their career trajectory, and so you need to show that this fellowship is not a one-off, but a stepping stone to a professorship. Here are 2 examples of how not to write about your experience or training plan, and what you should consider writing instead. In the first example, if I have sufficient time, I will look into training courses that could help me in completing the fellowship. It could be better written as, in order to gain the experience required to lead clinical trials of complex interventions in X, I plan to undertake Y course at Z university. In the second example, I have written lots of reports and contributed to various articles. It could be better described as I have published 4 peer-reviewed articles as first author and 3 as second author. The latest publication was in X Journal. As you would expect, what funders are looking for in the person varies by funder and the level of the award. Across all fellowships, they are looking for enthusiasm, future leaders, and applicants who really want to develop and transition to independence. This is not a funding gap filler, and you need to show that this fellowship is central to you becoming the leader in your field. For the doctoral awards, NIHR look at commitment, suitability and potential. This is where the supervisor project can fall foul of the NIHR panel. The panel will be looking for links between previous work and your proposed fellowship. We understand career paths change, but usually there is a link in methodology or the health or disease area to previous work. And if you can highlight how at master's level you found X, Y or Z interesting and want to develop further in this area, it provides a stronger justification for your application. Advanced fellowships are aimed at anyone with a PhD that has not yet been awarded a chair. Individuals are eligible to be awarded up to 2 advanced fellowships sequentially, not normally totaling more than 8 years full-time funding, and as such they cover both the early and more experienced postdoctoral researcher. For early career postdoctoral applicants or those transitioning into applied health research from a different field, the panel are looking for evidence of commitment to a career as an applied health researcher. This fellowship builds on your PhD. It is developing you as a research leader, with opportunities for a PhD student and research assistant to be budgeted into the application. You will be aiming to be a nationally recognised researcher by the end of this fellowship and building links to international collaborations. For more experienced postdoctoral applicants, evidence of independence, including established collaborations and building research capacity, is usually required. You will have a number of first-named author publications, evidence of larger research grants, not necessarily as the principal investigator, but certainly as the co-investigator. This advanced fellowship will be adding further to your previous work and building your network at national, international and possibly policy level. You'll be moving from nationally recognised to internationally recognised in your work. We are really fortunate at the Research Design Service to be able to observe the interview panels for the NIHR fellowships. These are a few of our top tips. Be positive in your language and show enthusiasm for your work. The panel valued candidates who knew their work inside out, could defend why they wanted to do this work, the impact it would have on patients and the wider NHS, and the reason they needed a fellowship to progress in their career. We did find that no matter how great the candidate was, if they had a poor project they were not funded. This was also true of a great project with poor candidate. You and your project are of equal value within the fellowship. The fellowship will allow you to take the next step on your career pathway, show you have thought about where you want to be in 5 or 10 years' time. Your development as a researcher is just as important as completing the research project itself. We are now going to move to the breakout rooms, where our RDS advisors will be able to answer any questions on the specific fellowship you are considering applying for.